Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser coming to you once again from St. Nicholas Orthodox Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan for this week's Midweek Reflection. And this week I'm reflecting on a new term that I just heard. Whenever I hear something new, it always, as a term being used, it's always very interesting. And this term was Yelp culture. Yelp culture. Now, for the few of you who may be not familiar, Yelp is one of those websites or apps, I guess, or both, where you go and you review a restaurant or other place, whatever. I think there's even Yelp reviews of churches. Um, it's actually a very funny one of our church. I don't know if it's on Google or Yelp, but look it up. It's actually quite hysterical. It's a joke, so don't take it seriously. But anyway, this idea that everywhere we go, we are encouraged to rate and to put our opinion out on, was this a good restaurant? How was the service? How was the food? On the one hand, it's nice to have some information when you're picking where you want to go. You don't want to waste your money on a place that the food's not going to be good, or people are going to be rude to you. So there's an aspect that's actually helpful. But this idea of Yelp culture is that it's become part of how we deal with everything. That everywhere we go, we are encouraged to say, well, what did you think about that? Well, in some ways, this is what we would call in the church being trained to be judgmental. That we are called to make a judgment and, with 1 to 5 stars and comments, give our opinions on somebody else's performance or service or location, whatever have you. And again, there's a little part of this that's good, but the bigger part that's, I think, a huge problem is now we already were predisposed to judge other people. A lot of us struggle with that, if not all of us to certain degrees. And now there's all of this push to do it even more so. And it's not just when we go to a business or go to a restaurant. This idea of Yelp culture is that we kind of do that all the time with everyone. And that's a problem. It's a problem when we are in judgment of someone else. Well, we just had this past Sunday, the first pre-Lenten Sunday, where the church is now going to work step by step to refocus us on what is good, what is true, what is important, what is of God. And that first step is, of course, when we hear the gospel of the publican and the Pharisee. This parable is one that has as its sort of thesis, don't judge other people, right? There's the Pharisee saying, I'm glad I'm not like that guy over there and other people, and yet what does the tax collector, the publican, do? He doesn't judge anyone else. He looks only on himself and he reflects on his own sinfulness. Well, that dual direction, right? Judging other people and turning around and, in a sense, placing the judgment on ourselves is the opposite of what our world, what actually is what our world is encouraging us to do. We are not, as Christians, called to be judging anyone else. We are called to examine ourselves in humility, and then, as we'll talk about this coming Sunday, in repentance, to really focus on, in a sense, not grading ourselves, but examining ourselves. And where we realize how fallen we are, to fall at God's feet in mercy and to beg his forgiveness in our repentance. So, Yelp culture, yeah, it's a big thing. It's all over the place. But we can fight against it. We can work to do what we learned in the parable that we heard this past Sunday, and that is to not be judging other people, to turn our attention away from them like the tax collector did and actually focus on ourselves. We're swimming upstream in our modern society, but it's an important change in direction that we can all work on, especially in this modern day when we are called to do the opposite. So let's reject the Yelp culture of reviewing and judging everyone else, and let's work in this pre-Lenten season and through Lent, God willing, if God gives us the time, to really focus on ourselves, not in a selfish way, but in a self-examining way, and really seeing where we need to make some changes and bring ourselves to God in repentance, and receiving thereafter, of course, his love and forgiveness. So I hope that's helpful for you. Please share with family, friends, neighbors, relatives, coworkers, whoever you like. And God willing, we'll see you in next week's video.